It's the sauce, Alex Zayne, and you're watching the Ring General Podcast. Turn this man around, subscribe, like, and comment.
Welcome everybody to another edition of the UFC Show from the Ring Generals. My name is Nick Nenad. Alongside me is Easy Eric Santos.
What's cooking, guys?
And of course, our boy, our top contributor, Jesse.
What's up, jabronis?
Now, you see the type of hat that Jesse's wearing. You see the type of hat that I'm wearing. You see the type. Never mind.
No, you don't have a hat. You didn't tell me.
I know. I didn't give him the information. I had the extra hat. And Jesse picked it. It's Merry Christmas, everybody,
Merry Christmas
and Happy Holidays to everybody.
Feliz Navidad.
Exactly. Whatever you celebrate, Happy Holidays. Thanksgiving was just around the corner. I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I sure did, although I was sick.
I was
sick too, but
so we were all sick.
Yeah, rainy day.
Thanksgiving was sick this year.
It's sick. Hell yeah.
All right, this is good. This is a horrible start to this podcast, but here's the thing. We have a lot to talk about today because although this is going to be called a UFC show, we're going to talk a bit about boxing because obviously we had a lot of big boxing the last 2 weeks. Of course, we had Deontay Wilder's spectacular knockout of Luis Ortiz that we sort of expected, but not the way it went down. You, of course, had Anthony Joshua get back his world heavyweight titles in Saudi Arabia this last weekend. And then of course we have a huge boxing match now set for February because of some of the stuff that went down. We will also be talking about the latest in MMA, and we are going to be going over a lot of UFC 245 because it's one of the best cards in recent memory.
This is a stacked card.
Yeah,
it's going to be a great start to a new year, basically. Almost going into the new year. Actually.
Yeah, and UFC does this a lot. They have like their kind of Christmas, end of the year, beginning of the year card. This counts as that. We also have a big return in the MMA world, someone that we did not expect to be fighting this soon.
Yeah.
And so we'll get all where do we want to start with, guys?
Stacked,
what do we want to we can talk about anything we want.
Let's start with boxing first.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's start with boxing.
It's pretty big.
Okay, so let's talk about Joshua and Ruiz because that just happened. Obviously, I think a lot of us going into this fight thought Joshua would look better because Ruiz kind of, he shocked the world and he shocked Anthony Joshua. Joshua didn't look too into the last fight, got knocked down multiple times. It was very, very embarrassing for who was supposed to be one of the top heavyweights in the world.
High profile name.
Exactly.
Right.
Credit Andy Ruiz for kicking his ass.
Yeah.
But then coming into this fight, Andy Ruiz was well overweight.
Yeah.
He had said that he didn't train as well. Joshua said he was in the best shape of his life.
About 30 pounds, I guess.
Yeah. Right. And it looked like that, too. I don't know if you guys saw the full fight. I watched it very choppy because my stream was not working very well. Yeah, exactly. I think it was raining here in California too, so I think that.
Or the connection wasn't all that good over there.
Saudi Arabia.
It probably was though. I mean, we could talk shit on Saudi Arabia if you want. We're not going to be journalists that go over there. We're just going to be journalists here.
In America.
Bad joke. Poor joke.
Anyways.
Okay, but back to Saudi Arabia. They're horrible. No, I'm just kidding. So Anthony Joshua gets a big win. Some people said that he kind of did the Floyd Mayweather defense thing.
Yeah,
that's right.
But I think this was all in Joshua's hands, at least in my opinion. I think all he had to do was really just win this fight, and then everybody kind of was going to respect him a little bit more. If he would have lost a second time to Andy Ruiz,
you would have lost some people's faith in fans.
Almost,
but those are some of the casuals. They'll just talk smack over if he lost. Like Ruiz, here, hold my taco out. Hold my beer.
Yeah.
But
nobody did that.
Nobody
he
did
guzzled it down and was well overweight for that fight.
Exactly.
But so Anthony Joshua gets the win. Do we want to talk about the fight specifically, or do we kind of just want to talk about what's next for Anthony Joshua?
We'll talk about the fight specifically, and then after that, what's next.
Okay, so what I saw was, like I mentioned, a lot of defensive boxing. Joshua's jab was absolutely on point in this fight.
It was the Cinderella story.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Joshua actually used his length, in my opinion. Did you guys see that?
I saw more of that
used it.
being applied throughout the entire fight. Ruiz Jr. just felt like you said, it felt like the fame got to him. It felt like he was not disciplined enough as it is. And that was the disadvantage for Ruiz Jr. Joshua looked 100%.
And the fact that Ruiz didn't have his coaches. He didn't listen to his coaches.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't.
No,
For this
he
one, he didn't really have like a full camp or a proper camp, as opposed to Anthony Joshua, which he listened to his coaches from the first round to the last. I mean,
It was a great display of boxing from Anthony Joshua. Not so much.
Very technical.
Yeah, not so much Andy Ruiz.
No.
I thought he came out and he looked like he was just. It was like, you know, we look at other fighters and we look at these knockout artists, and a lot of times they'll wait a little bit. They won't throw as many punches. It was almost like Ruiz came in this fight thinking that he was just going to be able to knock down Joshua again.
His combination throws would have been.
Well, no, but the way Joshua fought, he wasn't going to give Ruiz the chance, and Ruiz never adjusted.
He felt that power.
No, and his coaches, in my opinion, resorted to arguing that Joshua kind of boxed like a, you know, like a pansy. Yeah, there's a good word for it. I was going to say a lot worse things, but I want to try to keep this podcast not R-rated today, but. But that's boxing. You have to adjust, and that's why Floyd Mayweather's undefeated, because nobody ever adjusts against him, right?
Well, not just adjust, but he was technical. Who on earth wants to be punched while fighting? I mean, nobody wants to get punched in the face. Like it's
the overall point is to not get hit.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
No, get the hit the least.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, and what was funny is Joshua won the fight, and he wasn't going to the body like the announcers were saying either, and he wasn't even utilizing his whole skills during that fight, because I think he saw Andy Ruiz wasn't in the game, and he was like, if I just jab the hell out of him, and hopefully I don't get caught once or twice and get a 10-8 round in here from Andy Ruiz, I'm going to win this fight, and that's what he did, and he was talking shit, and he was doing all this stuff, and that's rightfully so, and Andy Ruiz comes out after the fight and says all this BS about there being a third fight. Yes, there's not going to be a third.
Not right away, at least. I mean, look, like from the first round of the fight, I mean, Ruiz had him a little bit, but he was looking for those knockout punches, like those heavy hitters. But they didn't start trading like those heavy punches until the fourth round.
Yeah,
and that's when everything started getting loose. But Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, thought like, hey, I'm getting hit in this fourth round. You know, I punched too many times. So I gotta start implementing my jab, and then throwing that overhand right, and then sneaking that right into straight right. I mean, those were beautiful combinations. Ruiz just went down to him, and Anthony Joshua just kept on circling around. With Ruiz's mistake, I'll say he should have cut the corners from Anthony Joshua from moving around. Like I isolated him at one corner and then started throwing blows. But
that's a good point. Yeah,
he didn't do that.
He stuck to the same pattern.
And Anthony Joshua just stuck to his game plan, and I can appreciate that for a fact.
100%. Well, here's the thing. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and it not working. Yeah. Andy Ruiz did the same thing over and over again and it did not work. Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, his strategy was working. And that's where you get frustrated when you're watching a boxing match like that, and you do root for a guy like Andy Ruiz who had that big upset and he's just sitting there not doing anything. And it says something that he went into the fight also as the underdog, even though he was the champion again. I guess it probably got people to bet on Andy Ruiz. Yeah. I was going to bet on Andy Ruiz, and I had a feeling in my stomach 2 days before, and I was like, you know what? I don't think it's I think Anthony Joshua.
I kind of saw Anthony Joshua because after the first fight, he kind of said, he actually said it himself, like, I stayed in New York and I didn't want to go back to my friends or family because I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed and ashamed.
And that's a good thing. And he was very reflective after this fight, after the first fight too.
Humble.
Yeah. And it was like, you were like, uh-oh, this is not going to be good for Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz does have power, and in boxing you can knock somebody out with one punch. But there's one dude that recently can literally throw one punch and he can win any fight at any freaking time, and that's Deontay Wilder. Personally my favorite fighter in all of the world right now in MMA and boxing. Because honestly, I think Deontay Wilder could be in MMA, and
I am surprised
there's a chance.
Stipe's been tweeting for that fight. I mean, even Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. Well, Stipe is like dodging DC and wants to fight somebody from the boxing world, which is completely like outrageous, but then at the same time, pretty cool.
I mean, James Toney did that with Randy Couture. I mean, they
Hey,
Cross
Conor McGregor did it with Floyd Mayweather.
So
Hey,
it can happen.
there's more money in boxing. That's not the fighter's fault.
It's inevitable.
That's
It's
the
inevitable.
UFC's problem.
It's a money, like the money talks, and when you do business with boxing and MMA, it gets eyes from both worlds on the same
I'll
event.
say this though: if Stipe Deontay Wilder fight in a boxing match, that it's only lasting like 3-4 rounds, and Deontay Wilder's knocking the hell out. Okay,
Deontay for sure. That's his world.
Deontay Wilder potentially is the heaviest hitting heavyweight of all time, and that's I didn't want to say that like a year ago, a year and a half ago, but it's starting to become pretty evident. I mean, he hit Luis Ortiz in the forehead and knocked him out. Like, how does that? He knocked all of the possible liquids in Luis Ortiz's body off his head because it's just
only had a couple seconds to go back into the corner, but wow, just opening, Ortiz just felt so confident enough for him to take corner, and then that opening, boom, just sent him down.
And Luis Ortiz was winning the fight.
He was doing good.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens in like half.
I know.
It's what happens in all the Deontay Wilder fights that go any sort of distance. Is he's losing, and all of a sudden it's just like crack, and it's just it's over.
It's that punch.
Right? The only fight it didn't happen in was Tyson Fury.
Don't get confident around Wilder. Do not have that opening.
And Luis Ortiz, speaking of great strategies, that was great strategies from both guys, and that fight was really fun to watch.
It was.
But we were all expecting a knockout at some point. I had knockout in the 5th round. That was mine. I think it happened in the 7th or 8th.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I mean, Deontay Wilder gets a big knockout. Luis Ortiz, great effort, but it's kind of the end of the road for him. When you look at fights for Luis Ortiz, I'm not sure what comes next. He obviously needs a win for his next fight because he's, it's only 2 losses to Deontay Wilder. That's not the worst thing to tell anybody, but
but it's not a great on his record.
No, exactly. But Deontay Wilder has no losses. And neither does Tyson Fury, and now their fight is set up for late February. It's supposed to be in Las Vegas. They haven't officially announced it yet, but we're looking at potentially one of the best boxing matches of all time.
That's a super fight.
Yeah, and the first fight ended in a draw, somewhat controversial because Deontay Wilder probably the scores don't add up that he would have won that fight or not won, but got the draw. But I think. But because of how spectacular both times he knocked down Tyson Fury, he got 10-8 rounds, and he might have got a round in there, earlier on the fight. But nonetheless, they draw it, and essentially that fight did not count. So we have this super fight. And we did this last month with UFC 245. Quick initial prediction. This fight was announced a week or 2 ago.
Yes.
What possibly happens in this fight?
I got Wilder winning this fight. I mean, it's probably gonna be some heavy. Like I think in rounds 2 to 4. I mean,
oh my god!
Wow, dude, you're scoring for that.
Okay, so what's your prediction? Because you're pretty shocked by this. Yeah.
Okay, so
you never know. I'm saying this because you never know. Anything can happen.
As of right now, I need to see them train. Like as soon as I see them train and how they're feeling and how they're doing, then that's how I'm gonna give my prediction. Although my prediction might.
What's your gut right now? Without seeing it yet.
Right now, as of right now, I'm gonna have to go with Tyson Fury. 9th round, 9th or 10th round. Because
I like that prediction.
Because around, I think it was like 11th or the 12th round where Wilder he knocked down Fury.
12.
And so the 12th round, yeah, from what I remember.
12. Yeah, it was 12.
Yeah. So I think Fury's gonna have to return the favor and do the same thing too to Wilder. But this time he's going to land more significant strikes to Wilder. The thing that Fury has is his bobbing and weaving and the ability. And dude, Wilder was missing. There were times where he was missing Fury because his head movement is just so good.
So smooth.
So with that being said, I think that Fury might have the advantage and knock him down in the 9th or 10th round.
So you're saying knock him down or knock
out?
Knockout.
That's insane. You're saying Tyson Fury knocks out Deontay Wilder.
He's going to kick his ass.
Oh, okay, that's his gut. Okay, so for me, I
love the dude.
Yeah, here we go.
Tiebreaker,
remember, we had a couple tiebreakers in New York. Remember that?
Yeah,
Okay, but that's a whole. We're not going to get into that at all. But Deontay Wilder, knockout power, right? He can knock out anybody. Tyson Fury probably has the best footwork of any heavyweight, possibly in history. What I think is going to happen here, initial reaction is Tyson Fury goes the distance and ends up getting a unanimous decision. I just think Fury's smart enough, a lot like Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz in their second fight, that he will essentially just fight a fight that avoids getting knocked out. And Deontay Wilder will look better. He admitted in the first fight that he was, the Staples Center crowd and the energy and how big the fight was got to his head, and he essentially was just trying to knock him out, right? I do think Wilder will look more like he did against Luis Ortiz in this fight, but it took him 7 rounds to knock out Luis Ortiz, who doesn't have the best footwork. And I just think Tyson Fury, as an initial reaction, I cannot say that Deontay Wilder is just going to knock out Tyson Fury. And I think the only other way this fight goes is to the distance. I don't think Deontay Wilder wins 7 rounds of a fight. I just don't see that happening. But I'll be rooting on my boys. So I got Fury in distance. You got Fury in a knockout. And you got Wilder in an early knockout. So you got every
fourth round.
If there's somebody who can knock out Wilder, it's Fury. Although I love Wilder.
I'm predicting this right now. Fourth round, guys.
Fourth round. I'm surprised.
Okay. And my dog's around the corner. She guessed Wilder in distance. You have every single element of this fight possibly could happen, and that's why
you're in the Nenad household.
Let's move a little bit in the MMA world. We've had a lot go down recently, even this last weekend. We had some news get developed. But let's dive into the return of maybe the most famous MMA fighter in the world right now.
Controversial too.
Conor McGrgeor. Conor McGregor's coming out of this long layover he's had.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
He's going to fight none other than Cowboy
Cerrone.
Which is an amazing fight, okay? Is it, and he's moving up weight classes, right?
Welterweight.
He's fighting at welterweight, which is crazy to me that his first fight back, he would go to welterweight against a guy like Cerrone, who's a badass himself. What do we think about McGregor taking a fight against Cerrone first? Like, do you think they call this a warm-up fight for potentially
They'll say it's a tune-up fight, but they also say Cerrone is more of a gatekeeper at this point, which I'm not going to argue, but also I'm not.
What do you mean by gatekeeper, though? When you
gatekeeper is more like a guy who keeps other fighters progressing.
Okay.
So, like, say I throw in who's this young cat? What's his name?
Gaethje?
No, not Gaethje. Well, I would say Gaethje.
Gaethje's kind of turned the corner, though. He's kind of
Gaethje's turned the corner.
He's a beast now.
No, yeah.
Like a fighter like Drew Darber.
Okay.
That guy is young, explosive, very technical. He's got a great wrestling background, and if he were to fight like a guy like Cerrone, I mean that's a tune-up fight. That's like saying Cerrone doesn't really have it to be at the top, the highest level to be a world champion. But in my opinion, he still has a chance. He's still got a knockout chance. So,
you see Cerrone as that type of fighter for McGregor?
In a way, I do. But I also see Cerrone. I mean, he kind of just goes in the wild 5 and just storms through and
Still has hands.
And just throws those hands and leg combinations. I mean, those leg knockouts. He's well known for.
No, so like, do you think that McGregor, like, this is a sketchy fight for him to take coming back at a heavier weight than he's kind of usually fighting fans
have actually been dreaming about this kind of match
that's true. Yeah, we heard about this a long time ago.
It's funny because the interview back in when I think it was like Aldo versus McGregor, the very first fight. I mean, Cowboy called him out for his BS in the back room and saying he was cordial to the other guys.
Yeah,
that's
way back in the day.
And then he just started smacking in front of the media. I mean, that kind of says about a person's personality, but I'm just going to throw that outside and focus more on the fighting styles. I mean, styles make fantastic matchups, and this is going to be a banger. But for me, if I were to choose McGregor and Cerrone, I'll choose Cowboy 100% of the time.
Wow.
I'm riding with the Cowboy.
Cowboy, yeehaw.
Cowboy shit. This is going to be a super interesting fight. Is it going to be the main event of this card too? Is it going to be 5 rounds? I think you're stealing fans' money if you don't make this 5 rounds.
It's a 5 rounds.
Make it 5 rounds.
I mean, McGregor and Cerrone in the past have tried to negotiate a contract, and there was a time they did want them as co-main events, but McGregor said no. I just want to be a main event. I want to get paid the biggest bucks, and Cerrone doesn't really care about the biggest bucks. He wants to fight McGregor.
Yeah.
He wants to knock him out.
Yeah, because Cerrone's kind of accomplished like most things in MMA.
He's got like the overall, like the most knockouts, the most time that he's been.
I think he has the most wins, period. Doesn't he? Yeah, most wins in UFC history.
He set records that not many people will be able to do.
No,
90 champions like Jones or Khabib or what's her name? Manny Nunes, Shevchenko. I mean,
that's true. Yeah, Shevchenko was just dominating her division too.
Yeah. I mean, records.
Yeah, no, but where this is, and Conor McGrgeor is, I believe he's the first double champ.
Yeah.
So he has that on his record.
Simultaneously active double champ. Yes.
First MMA fighter to truly have a world famous boxing match as well.
Yes.
And actually stand in the ring with one of the best, if not the best boxer. In history, at least at his weight class, Floyd Mayweather. So, this is going to be a great fight. I believe is it a UFC? It's UFC 246, right? It's not a fight night.
It's not a fight night. It's 246.
Also, that's another thing when you negotiate.
Yeah.
You don't put McGregor on a fight.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
That's blasphemous.
It would have been like putting Hulk Hogan on Thunder. Okay, it doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be
do that.
You're not going to put John Cena on the old
superstars,
right?
Superstars, main event.
Exactly. Yeah, very very good.
They have to be on the main card.
Yeah, but so man, it's going to be tough if McGregor loses that fight too.
I mean, McGregor's coming off of a loss. He hasn't fought since like 2016, so that was like about 3 years. And, I mean, unless he's kind of kept in shape, which some people do and do not. I mean,
like Conor from last year, he fought Khabib, right?
No,
He did fight Khabib last year. Yeah,
he did last.
It was last year.
It was last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it was.
No, but I'm saying his last win. I'm saying.
Oh, his last
win.
His last win was from 2016.
God, who did he beat?
Yeah.
What was his last
That was
win?
Nate Diaz.
That was Diaz.
Yeah, that was
That's
Nate.
right. What am I
The
talking
second
about?
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
when
oh
they
my
fought.
God, that was so long.
But
Yeah.
I'm not taking away anything else, but he needs to win badly because he's coming off a two fight losing streak.
3 fight losing streak.
Yeah.
He's lost Floyd Mayweather too.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, I want to count that, but anyway,
In the boxing world,
in the boxing world, but
maybe
overall in the MMA world,
Yeah.
it's a 2 fights.
you'll probably get different opinions about that, but in the boxing world, yeah, that does count as a loss.
Okay, I'll throw that in, but it's a iffy. No.
Yeah, he's won life, is meaning that he's made $100 million, but he's lost everything else.
Right.
So, there's a lot of elements of McGregor too. They're a little different. I believe since the Diaz fight, he's had a child. How old is this kid?
About two.
Yeah, so he's, relatively, his kid hasn't seen him fight. There might be that in his background as well, like in the back of his mind that he wants to fight for his child as well. There might be extra motivation there. The Khabib fight was...
Same thing for Cerrone, too.
Well, that's true. Yeah, the same thing for Cerrone. But I just think that, Conor might have kind of slowed down in life a little bit. I know, humble, because he hit the guy in the Irish bar. He was involved in a lot of other stuff through Dolly through the window.
Yeah.
I do think he might be a bit calmed down. I guess we'll have to wait until the press conference.
I mean, money could change a person's life. And look what happened to Conor. I mean, it changed his life, but also kind of he didn't know how to handle that properly. But I mean, everybody's got their own ways, and Conor just happened to have a special, way of condoning.
Beating up old people.
And do a little coke and
We're not talking about John Jones, by the way. But yeah, so that's gonna be a really interesting fight. We don't have to predict that one necessarily yet, because I think we'll be predicting that. And we'll wait till that kind of full card comes out. But that's gonna be really interesting, and it's gonna be a good fight. Here's another one I want to throw in here that we didn't even preview on the beginning of the show. We just saw one of the more spectacular knockouts this year, this last weekend. I'm forgetting exactly how to pronounce the dude's name. It's the dude from Cameroon, right? He knocked out Alistair Overeem.
Yep.
Ooh.
And he called out Francis Ngannou.
Boba Yaga versus the Boogeyman.
Like, are you kidding me? Rozenstruik. I mean, that fight is, that's just who's going to get knocked out first.
Yeah.
Right? The Rozenstruik has potentially has more power than
got
Ngannou
power.
does.
Jeez,
But
dude,
I'll say he's got more head. He moves better than Ngannou for sure. Like he's got more of a head movement. You see his boxing skills is a little bit better than Ngannou's, but we'll shall see. But it's all about the power of their hands.
That knockout over him, knocked his lip off his face.
I know.
Literally,
That was just
Literally, like
yeah.
And you can
4 seconds left.
yeah, that was.
Buzzer beater,
That one was a
3-pointer
big-
by
yeah.
Rozenstruik.
Jesus,
Wow.
and these guys both knocked out Overeem. Think about Overeem is a pretty much
Devastating knockout.
Dude,
Overeem has lost years on his life from the 2 knockouts from Francis Ngannou.
CTE.
Yeah.
And CTE.
And
On Rozenstruik.
man, that knockout, I remember just looking at that knockout with Overeem and Ngannou. I just thought that the guy's dead.
Dude, he just knocked him out like in a whole different world.
Yeah.
He knocked him into like the world that you get into when you do mushrooms. Like that's the world he knocked Overeem into.
He went to a different dimension.
Or sent him to the gates of heaven and they brought him back.
Yeah, exactly.
So
so this fight between Ngannou and Rozenstruik. Now, okay, here's an interesting question: when they fight, whenever they do, because these guys both, they necessarily haven't. Francis Ngannou has had a lot of time off, and Rozenstruik doesn't get hit much, so they can kind of come back. This fight can potentially happen. Maybe even on January 18th on the McGregor card.
Right, it was still against a title shot.
Maybe. But so you can move it to the February card too and all that stuff. But this fight will happen recently. Is the winner of that fight for the heavyweight championship? Because we don't know if it will be. It might be
DC.
DC probably won't. He'll retire. So it will be just kind of the vacant heavyweight championship. Like what happens here for the winner? I think Francis Ngannou obviously. I'll ask, does Rozenstruik get a heavyweight title shot if he wins this fight?
I believe so.
I think so, yeah. He should be able to get a title shot, whoever the winner is between Ngannou and Rozenstruik.
He's got an impressive knockouts, and his resume speaks for itself. I mean, what can you say? I mean, he's got the guy.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It'll be interesting because I think you look at a guy like Stipe, who would be the only technical challenger here, because Daniel Cormier will most likely retire. Or you have John Jones move up to heavyweight.
I see John Jones, but he's going to have to wait a little longer to move up to heavyweight because he's got that beef with Adesanya. But
they don't wait.
That's not happening. I don't think that's happening.
But hold on. Yeah. Well, he's got that fight with Reyes, which I don't see Reyes kind of bulldozing through Jones. I mean, John Jones is just athletically gifted. Like, I mean, he could go do drugs on a Sunday morning and then come back and then he's like, okay guys, I'm ready to train. He's got like 1 week left to train. And he'll still beat him.
No, and it's just to that point, John Jones, I heard on the latest Joe Rogan podcast that John Jones essentially didn't train for the Gustafsson fight the first time they fought.
No, he did. He was partying out.
And he still won against like Alexander Gustafsson, who's an amazing fighter, one of the best light heavyweights of all time. So I don't like I say, I don't see John Jones.
He did that with DC too on the first fight too.
The first one.
Never lost to DC either, which is crazy. Yeah, no, John Jones has never lost. Okay, he hasn't lost in his record.
You can roofie John Jones all you want, but still
he took out the entire division. Okay, so
roofing him will just have him not remember winning. That's all it will do. He'll still win. Yeah. He just won't remember. He'll have to watch the video and be like, I don't remember any of this, but like I guess I won. So next fight. So
he cleaned up a talented light heavyweight division like Machida, Rua, who else? DC, Gustafsson.
Literally anybody you could.
Basically, he killed he just destroyed like a murder's row.
He destroys people though. I mean, I thought Anthony Smith was going to go in there and have a better chance, and he destroyed Anthony Smith.
He actually thought he was going to be the one to take out. John Jones, but that wasn't the case.
John Jones is very well aware of his opponent's abilities.
Right.
And he brushes up on that. He practices that in the gym. Sometimes he doesn't. I mean, but still, he's well aware and he's got that gut intuition. So, I mean, John Jones is not going to lose anytime soon unless it's to a heavy hitter like Ngannou.
And that's what here we go. So, it's like you see these heavy hitters and you're like, man, Francis Ngannou properly trained.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to find the word. Properly, in good health. What word am I looking
Condition?
for? Condition. Yes, geez, I couldn't
Well
remember.
conditioned.
Yeah. Perfectly conditioned. That's scary. 5 rounds in a ring with Francis Ngannou in a heavyweight fight. Like, John Jones probably walks around in heavyweight too, so it probably won't be that big of a transition. But
For his cardio.
man,
That's
yeah,
It's good. It's good. I mean, we'll see if it changes his
I'm
his
excited.
condition.
I'm getting excited in these fights. Are nowhere even close
But
to
remember,
being
John Jones got a fight in February.
Yep.
He does. No, and he's gonna be fighting Dominic Reyes. And like we're saying, that's it's a good fight. It's the fight that should be happening. But John Jones shouldn't lose that fight.
No.
And
It's basically expected for Jones to retain his title and then move up to heavyweight. But we shall see where that turns out, and hopefully he does go to heavyweight.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hopefully,
fights like a guys like Stipe
dude,
or
yeah, no, exactly.
I mean, they've been trying to push him up to heavyweight since like Velasquez was champion. And Velasquez, we all know he was a monster. He was a cardio machine for a heavyweight, and that guy moved around well until you ran into JDS and met his left hand, and then bam, lights out.
Yeah, no,
remember
that's
that fight.
it will be. I do remember that too. I think that was the first fight on Fox ever.
The first Fox, and everybody expected. I mean, at least the fans from here, the West Coast, they expected him to retain his title and just.
That's pretty shocking. That's pretty
JDS
shocking.
just shut down the whole crowd, and everybody's just in awe.
Yeah, no, that was good times in the heavyweight.
Yeah,
division.
it was
Yeah,
good.
but that's when Brock
Fantastic.
Lesnar was around the division.
It's true.
Yeah.
And he
Brock
would
Lesnar
have
was
gone up against JDS around that time, but diverticulitis took
Yeah.
over.
Poor Brock.
Yeah.
Could have came back and
That's
fought
right.
again, but he didn't.
But,
He didn't do it. Let's talk about fights that are happening this weekend, and that is UFC 245. One of the best cards.
To end the
mean,
year, this is a fantastic.
This
way
is
to end
better
the
than
year.
the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened.
The
Way
silver fight,
better.
Yeah.
in the
It,
summer.
it just shoots it out of the wind.
It's amazing. We have Amanda Nunes defending her title against Jermaine Durandamy. We
Yes.
have Max Holloway moving back down to featherweight to fight Alexander Volkanovski. Very good fighter. We have Marlon Moraes versus Jose Aldo. What a damn fight that is. That could main event a lot of pay-per-views. And the main events, Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman.
Faber's in his card too, right?
Faber's on the card too. Yeah, Faber's on the card. Faber's look a lot better, even in his older age.
Yep.
Yeah.
California kid still somehow to be a
California kid, he's still
California
going
kid.
Exactly. Yeah, no, but so this is a really, really good card. Let's start with the most underrated fight on this card, I think, is Marlon Moraes versus Jose Aldo. And Jose Aldo's kind of on this retirement tour as well. Marlon Moraes coming off a fight with Henry Cejudo, correct?
A loss.
A loss. But Marlon Moraes is a great fighter, and so is Jose Aldo. What happens in this fight? Like, is Aldo still there, or is he kind of just passes? What I get from this fight is I want to put my money on Marlon Moraes. I just think Marlon Moraes is starting to get in the prime of his career, maybe right before it, and Jose Aldo's just kind of in that Chuck Liddell kind of phase where you're starting to lose a little more, too many fights you should.
Started losing momentum.
Exactly, and you might win one here or there and stuff like that, but it's just not looking good. That's my feeling. What's your guys' feeling on this?
I mean, my feeling is that Aldo needs this win. I mean, he needs a win badly. Like he's lost his last couple of fights, so and I see Marlon Moraes needing this fight as well, but not as badly as Aldo. And Moraes is looking great. I mean, they're practically like the same type of
Virtually identical.
Yeah, basically virtually identical.
Michael.
Thank you.
No,
But I mean, these guys have like strong leg power, and I mean, I have favor of Moraes winning this fight, but we all know it comes down to conditioning, and Aldo looks kind of a little too skinny at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he looked like McGregor when he was a featherweight. I mean, just looked a little too drastic, but I mean, we'll see how his conditioning is in this fight.
Are they fighting in featherweight for this fight?
No, bantamweight.
Bantamweight, that's
Bantamweight.
right.
They're fighting at 135. And,
Yeah. Which is exactly. So you're saying, I mean, although is good. That 135, that's tough to get down to.
Yeah,
Marlon Moraes, but that's kind of Marlon Moraes' weight.
No, but
That's another thing that I think favors Marlon, right?
Yes, it was his thing because his body's like conditioned to the point like he can actually walk around in that way and fight in that way. When Aldo, on the other hand, he's had troubles of weight cutting before, and that's just making 145 pounds. I mean, he can make a move to 155, but I mean, this move just kind of makes sense for him and his team. And I mean, Frankie Edgar, I mean, look, he just moved down to 135, man. We could probably see a third bout, but I doubt that would happen.
Well, that could be, that's one of those fights that could happen if Aldo does lose, because it's both guys kind of in the same headspace. Exactly.
Same direction.
It's kind of like a retirement fight for both fighters in some ways. Not to disrespect either of them, but, I mean, we have to analyze this.
These are legends basically past their prime. And,
no, and it happens all the time. To the legends, it necessarily doesn't. But we saw, like we said, it happened to Chuck Liddell, happened to Anderson Silva. It's starting to happen to Jose Aldo a little bit now. Yep. And so we gotta analyze this the best we can. What do you think? What do you see happening?
I feel like Aldo's he's been, yes, to Jesse's point, he's been in a way kind of winding down. He's past his prime, and in some way, shape, or form, if there's a way for Aldo for him to get himself kind of regain that spot, he's gonna have to take that win. But I just see Marlon more hungry, and I see Marlon just taking this to the distance. I don't see it like a knockout anytime soon, since it's gonna be 3 rounds. So I know for sure that Marlon is going to finish this off in the 3rd round, tire out Aldo, because although seeing him as of right now, he's not that same Aldo guy that I've known years ago.
No, for sure. Definitely not.
Kind of like that fire is not there.
Not since the first fight with Holloway or McGregor. I mean, McGregor and Holloway just kind of ended that guy's career.
And those were high-profile fights that he's been in. Those
Volkanovski was his last. I think it was his last fight in featherweight.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons Volkanovski's on this card fighting.
With Aldo, so with Aldo,
irony.
Yeah, so with Aldo, I don't see him.
It's the same guy.
Yeah.
Right, the same guy. Exactly to our point. Yeah. I mean, and there's the respect for Aldo too. Is that he beat Jose Aldo, and now he's getting a big title shot.
Yeah, that's right.
He's getting a chance to shine. So
no, but I see Marlon Moraes. I could see a knockout in this fight, to be honest, because I just think Aldo's chin's not there anymore. So that anytime you see that, there's the chance that one little punch could knock you out, right? And so I would, just to go off, just to differentiate a bit, I would say Moraes knocks him out in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we pretty much all agree that Moraes is going to win this fight.
But you have to.
But I'll give Aldo a 30% chance because he's
30. Wow.
Yeah, because look, the reason I say 30. The reason I say this
27%.
No, but the reason I say this because Aldo's got that quick left hook.
That's true.
And he doesn't throw it with the shoulder specifically, but he kind of throws it in at the same time. It's kind of weird.
Let's demonstrate that right now.
No.
Where's the bag?
I don't want to be the punching bag. I don't want to be knocked out on the floor here.
It's hardwood. It's not good. You don't want to your head will bounce twice. Once off Eric's fist and the other off the hardwood.
Decoration on the floor right here.
UFC Nenad 1. Hardcore style. There's no mats at my house. It's bricks. And if you guys could see the surroundings, it's not equitable for
a cage.
There's glass over there.
Right.
No, it's not good. But yes,
we could do a WWE.
Yeah, we could. We could have a GCW card here where everybody's just hitting each other with weapons.
Backyard wrestling.
Backyard wrestling.
Hey, bring out the Legos, guys.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Exactly. Bring out the dildos.
But anyways.
Okay, enough of that. So we got Moraes. Most of us think Moraes is the favorite in this. Let's move to another fight that we think we have a heavy favorite, and that's Amanda Nunes versus Jermaine Durandamine. There's some shit talking in this rivalry a little bit more than second time. Durandamine did a pretty good job against Nunes their first fight, better than a lot of other people have.
Yes.
So that's where the interest in this fight comes. For me, I think though, I just think Nunes is an all-time great right now. And she's in her prime.
She's the female GOAT right now.
No, exactly. But I'll give her this though. I'll give it this. I thought Ronda Rousey was untouchable too, and she got knocked the hell out.
Yeah,
Pretty bad too. So it could happen.
Yes.
But I'm putting my money on Amanda Nunes. It's the second Brazilian I'm going to put my money on for this fight, and I'm just, you can't go against Amanda Nunes. Just like John Jones, I'm not going to go against Amanda Nunes. But this is a very interesting fight, and it could go longer than a lot of people think too.
Yes. I mean, it could probably go to all 5 rounds. We shall see. But
5 rounds or 3 rounds in this one?
5 rounds.
All title fights are 5 rounds.
Title fights are 5 rounds.
Yeah, God, man, we're going to have 3 5-round fights in this
title
card.
fights, yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, some of these could
It's
either
going to last till 11 p.m.
I know, right?
Some of these could either be a knockout, decision, or submission. I mean, it's going to be a great stacked card. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, what can I say?
No,
Nunez is good.
we haven't even talked about 2.
No.
Yeah, but you said Nunez is good.
I mean, we all pretty much expect.
I'm gonna have to
Nunez
go. Yeah, Nunes right now. She's just on top. She has wiped the division, the women's division.
Oh, she's cleared it out.
She cleared it out. I mean, we were there when we saw Holly Holm. You know, that head kick that she did, and then with Cyborg.
Ooh,
The Cyborg one was the most insane one. Like that's shit.
Everybody expected.
Yeah, we were
win.
prepping that fight. I remember.
I was sitting there on my Cyborg's gonna win. This is the no-brainer. And then we watched it, and it was
Cyborg
like
got clipped, and
boom,
just
that's
kept
it.
on
boom. And then she just falls down like a ton of bricks.
Yep.
But
Didn't waste any time. Just throw in blows and boom.
well, that's the thing. Do we think Nunez kind of comes out like this for the fight? If there is a little bit of bad blood, you don't think it happens like that?
You gotta keep a cool head. I mean, we all saw.
You never know. It's fighting though. You never know.
We all see how Rousey went with the hot head, and she lost.
Right.
Yeah. Holloway versus Volkanovski. You were saying when we were off air that you thought Volkanovski had a little bit better chance. You were getting on the Volkanovski train a little bit. Is that true? Is this true, Jesse? You're going to go against Ben Holloway in the featherweight fight.
I would say in the first time around the last interview that we had, yes. I did say that Volkanovski has that chance. He's got that.
But has a chance is not what you said off camera. Right? This is what we do. So you think Volkanovski has a better chance than you thought a month ago?
He has a better chance of getting the title than the other competitors from past.
Okay. I feel you on that one. And he is moving back down to featherweight, and he's not going to fight a fighter that's going to be way bigger than him, right? The weight gain after the weigh-ins is not going to be as severe as it was for the Poirier fight. For me, I just think I didn't stop saying for me. I said that like the last 7 times we predicted a fight. I apologize. That's bad. That's bad video right there. But so for me, I think that Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway is going to kick Volkanovski's ass. I don't think this is. I think Holloway's going to try to prove a point. I think this fight ends in the 2nd round.
I'll say third round. Third round submission.
By who? Holloway. Wow, so you really didn't give Volkanovski a chance.
But I'm saying before.
What's the percentage?
What's
the percentage? 12 this time?
12. Okay, no.
Okay, yeah.
No, but I'm saying Volkanovski has a chance. The reason I say he has a chance, if he closes the distance with Max Holloway and cuts him off like from the corners and everything, and closes him in the clinch, then he's got a puncher's chance because everybody gets hit on during once you break off the clinch.
True.
And that's why I gave Volkanovski that chance because he could close that thing, and he's explosive. He's got that vicious left hand.
Yeah.
Tell a lot of fighters. That is how a lot of fighters can win fights too.
It either has to be a very explosive fighter or a very technical fighter like Holloway himself, which he just throws in that jab and then throws like little combos, and then he throws those surprise those backspin leg kicks, and
No, I think Holloway kicks that. What do you?
Before even getting into this house, I just thought to myself, you know what? Damn. Now looking at Volkanovski and Holloway.
Because you were listening to him.
No.
This is why you were sitting there.
No. I was even thinking about this.
No,
it's not about that.
This is because I analyzed the last fight.
Yeah. Now looking at it, looking how Volkanovski just took out Aldo and Mendes as of late, I just feel like I think that Volkanovski might have a chance. The only thing that can save Holloway is for him to land a significant amount of strikes to Volkanovski.
Which he most likely
That's
will do.
insane, too.
Yeah.
Which is he's gonna do. I know that for sure. He's gonna do that. But Volkanovski, I know he's gonna find a way to have that opening and land a vicious right hook
I mean,
and take down
I told
Holloway.
you, man. I mean, if you look at his last fights closely, they do have a puncher's chance. Or, I mean, like I said before, Volkanovski also do close down Holloway, cut his corners, and make him fight like a brawl. And Max Holloway is not afraid of a brawl, but at the same time, he's going to get wobbled with those left hooks or punches from either Poirier or McGregor or any fighter. I mean, Ortega. I mean, you get hit and kind of rocked him. But we all know Max Holloway is very resilient when he gets wobbled, and he kind of throws in those kicks and start throwing those combinations, and he kind of backs out. I mean, he knows how to duck and kind of evade those punches. And I mean, that's why I said.
See, you mentioned somebody there. You mentioned Brian Ortega. I see this fight kind of being like the Brian Ortega Holloway fight, where Holloway
It could
just
happen.
beats it.
Yeah.
And that's what
It could go that way.
I just think that Holloway is going to make a point of trying to kind of gain back some respect from UFC fans after the Poirier fight, because I think try to go up, try to become double champ. That's the kind of thing now in UFC. Guys ass kicked.
Yeah.
Right, what did not win that fight in any way, shape, form.
And he went up against Frankie Edgar, right?
Yeah,
The
no,
last one,
exactly. But that was like we mentioned, Frankie Edwards a little over the hill at this point.
Yeah, by that time he's
he's way
looking at
out.
Volkanovski to play devil's advocate on what you guys said. He beat Mendez, he beat Aldo, but those guys aren't Max Holloway.
No.
And Max Holloway is a step above those guys, and maybe even 2 steps above. So. I personally think Holloway.
He's a featherweight goat, but every goat goes down sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Does that go for the newness? Does that go for
We
newness?
disagree on this fight. That's what.
Okay,
No,
this is gonna be-
we're not disagreeing.
No.
We're just having a.
No, you're disagreeing. You can't. You guys just outlined the entire way Volkanovski is going to win the fight.
All right,
You
let's
just
put some money.
drew it on the wall behind me,
no,
and then you're going, no, we're going Holloway now.
We're giving Volkanovski a chance, okay? A chance.
Yeah. As much as I love Holloway, I'm gonna give Volkanovski a chance on this one. Okay.
See?
I'm not giving him a chance.
See?
Okay, so who do you think wins?
I'll say Holloway.
Volkanovski. I'm gonna say Volkanovski.
Good.
Right?
See, that's,
I'm going-
I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that.
I'm gonna go with a shocker on this one. They're gonna go with the distance.
Might you win a lot of money? You win a
Yeah.
lot of money?
Unless Holloway throws in significant
I have
strikes.
to look at the betting line.
Okay.
My phone is recording this right now, so I
Yeah.
can't look at the betting line right now. We have Colby Covington, I'm going to call him, he's the interim
Chaos.
the champ, versus Kamaru Usman, who's the true champ. Okay, obviously, beyond UFC, there's a lot of hate involved with this fight, and a lot of it has to do with Covington's attitude, and we all know what it is. He plays the Republican, Trump-supporting character.
Man,
I'll say this: if he goes into pro wrestling, he could make a good heel.
He could.
I mean, him and MJF.
Yeah,
that's true.
We put up the poll right there versus dream match between 2 heels: MJF versus Colby Covington. And MJF actually won.
MJF's ass.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, no, but literally,
Yeah, but
I mean,
in reality-
MJF is a pro wrestler,
Yeah.
and Colby Covington is a badass
Yeah.
fighter. Now, there's a lot at stake here.
Yes.
Okay, there's a lot of war of words that happen. This is one of those fights.
of
This is
animosity.
one of those fights that who loses this fight is going to be devastated.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be
Okay.
a sore loser. I mean,
Yeah.
Twitter's gonna explode. Like they're gonna start
Yeah.
trolling either Colby Covington or Kamaru Usman. Either way,
Nobody's gonna be happy.
No, the loser. This is what makes
the
this
loser
fight.
will get torched.
This is
Yeah.
what makes this fight so interesting, is because it's not only do you have two, they're the same kind of fighter, almost exactly the same kind of fighter. Covington, in my opinion, very underrated. And I think that's because a lot of people hate him because he's the Trump supporter, right?
Yeah.
And in this country in general, a lot
Color-
of people hate people that wear the red hat and all that
He
stuff,
calls
right?
people nerds.
Yeah, and he says that you
Like
guys,
Chinese
people
nerds.
can't get pussy and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it's
Green
just not.
virgins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
He's
I
out
would
there.
hate him too.
He's out there, yeah.
If I didn't respect his UFC and if I didn't know that he's playing a character, in the MMA world we know that that's not truly who he is, but it's an extension of who he is.
Yeah.
But it's not like he is not reading Donald Trump Jr.'s book every single day. He's training in the gym, getting ready to try to beat Kamaru Usman.
No, he doesn't work out in the shower with a woman. I don't think so.
No, he doesn't.
Not every day.
Only,
unless it's porn up there, that's
yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
that's
that's a different one. Yeah,
you can make a lot of money doing that. So
Camp Soda.
only fans. That's the one. Yeah. I think Colby Covington is very, very underrated, and the way he's beaten all of the last few opponents has really, really impressed me. And I'll say I'm going. I think Covington's going to win this fight. I think he's going to come out, and Usman. There's I think that element of maybe it's going to be too much in his head too as well. I don't think it's in Covington's head.
No,
I think he knows what he has to do. And I think he can just win 3 out of 2 rounds and win this fight with his conditioning. He trains with one of the best conditioned men in all of the world, Cameron Haynes, who runs ultra marathons all the time. Yeah. That's the man he trains with. Kamaru Usman does not train with that man. Kamaru Usman trains with other MMA fighters. No disrespect to that, but there's a different level of conditioning that Covington's going to come into this fight. So that's my take on it. What is your guys'? What do you think happens? Do you think Covington has a chance, like I'm saying he does?
You want to take this?
To win, yeah.
For me, him train
for
Colby
me,
Covington.
9th one right there.
Him, Covington.
Wait for the 10.
Let's wait for the 10. Colby Covington training with American Top Team, right?
Yes.
Yes. So he has probably one of the best coaches from that camp. His cardio, his conditioning, it's just I've never seen that kind of cardio conditioning.
It's ridiculous
from any other fighter. Okay, as of right now, Covington, what he's got going is he knows how to get into people's heads. His strikings are good, but his wrestling, he's the thing that with his wrestling that's going to be able to get Usman on the ground, and he's going to try to pin him down. But with Usman, what he also's got going too is his wrestling. But the thing is that you can only wrestle for so long.
His strength.
His strength. You can only wrestle for so long too. So I know for Colby Covington, he's going to land the same amount of strikes that he did to Robbie Lawler the last time. He landed like 540 strikes, which was...
I think it's a little bit more than that.
Insane!
Or like 600, 700.
He set the record.
And what he does is he sprints at you as fast as he can. He tires you out, and then he just hits you over and over.
He beats you, and he still shit talks on you.
Yeah.
You don't have that kind of guy out there. Maybe Conor McGrgeor, but...
he does.
But McGregor's not like that. McGregor's a knockout artist.
But with Covington, he just keeps coming at you. He just doesn't stop at all. Bloodied or cut up or whatever, he's still... that adrenaline's still there. How is Usman going to counter all that? My pick for this one, and I know I'm going to be rooting for Usman, but it's going to go a long distance, and it's going to be Covington winning this one. But I'm going to root for Usman. I hope that Usman does win this one.
For me, I will say Colby Covington, as we all just agreed now. I mean...
We ain't joking about this is not, we're not picking Covington because he's the more funny fighter, he's the more famous one, or he's the...
I'm swallowing the bitter pill, but...
Covington is a better fighter than Usman.
But I'm saying in his pedigree, though, I'm saying is that his conditioning, his wrestling, his punching accuracy, I mean, we're all going for, basically...
The stats.
Not just the stats, but a relentless fighter. Which Usman's not known to be a relentless fighter. Yeah. He's known to be a knockout artist or just kind of play it safe in a way, but no disrespect to Usman.
Great wrestling, though. Great wrestling.
Great wrestling. I mean, look,
which is where you have the counter of it, that if he can get Covington on the ground a little bit, that's where maybe he could win this fight.
I mean, but also there's going to be a scramble. I mean, wrestlers are great during scrambling. I mean, he's got a jiu-jitsu background. I mean, I'll say Colby Covington will try his best to get out of those situations when he's taken down and try to get stuff Usman's takedowns. I mean, Usman's got the punching power for sure, but we're all going for conditioning at this point. Like I said, conditioning is going to play the key throughout this whole fight, and we're not just gonna go because we don't like Usman or we like Trump or anything like that. So none of that.
No. This is strictly about UFC, about fighting skill.
It's what's happening in the octagon.
Strategy, game plan. I mean, Covington can execute his game plan. Usman hasn't executed his game plans as much as the past fights, but he's got those wins for sure. But I guess we all agree. Not Usman. Covington. I mean, I know in the past I said I'll say Usman, but I mean I changed my mind at this point now.
We're a week out right now. We're less than a week out,
Yep.
and this is gonna be a great card. Nonetheless, we're predicting that we have one new champ on this card. Eric thinks that there might be two. Potentially on this card right here because technically Covington is the champ, even though he never lost his title. He's stripped. It's whatever.
That's what happened to Ferguson.
That's true. And, we'll talk about this. Stop talking about Ferguson.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna.
Nobody said anything about that.
It's too excited, man.
So this could be a fun weekend of fights. You know what we didn't talk about real quick?
Oh yeah.
Tito Ortiz versus Alberto Del Rio.
Alberto Patron. If you've been seeing, some of the commentary on the Instagram page, it's actually my family, and of course there's a dog in the back.
My dog is barking in the background.
So Tito Ortiz versus Alberto Patron. What can I say about Alberto? I mean, he did his best, but
did he do his best, Eric? Did he do his best?
Man,
don't give him credit. No.
Alberto Del Rio is only a performer, but in the MMA world, he just doesn't have it. He doesn't have a wrestling pedigree like Tito Ortiz. He's well known.
Should have gone up against somebody else who was
He should have had at least a tune-up fight before he went in.
Fight at least.
Yeah, these guys.
At least a couple of fights. I mean, these guys.
Not against.
Was this an Oscar De La Hoya fight again, or was this a?
It feels like it. But now it's combined.
Dana White's angry.
This is This is Combate Americas. This is another promotion.
It's a small.
It's a Latin American promotion.
But it's small. I mean, it's not that big yet. I mean, some fans are hoping to be big. But
Here's the thing, though. The loss to Tito was not as bad as the loss to Mirko Krokrat back in the day.
They knocked the hell out.
Knocked the F out in that fight. Not as bad, but Alberto Del Rio should stop fighting.
Stick to.
Come to AEW or WWE.
Just do the commentary.
Come on, man. What are you doing?
Just do the commentary.
Here's the interesting question. What happens? What does Tito Ortiz do next? Because he's got to just kind of keep fighting these kind of fights. Like, what does he do?
He said that he's going to keep fighting.
He's only 45. He's not that old.
He said he's actually going to fight.
DC's pretty damn old. Anderson Silva's pretty old. And those guys are kind of declining.
Mark Hunt.
That's
another guy too.
I think he got released from his contract.
He did. Yeah.
I mean, he just lost the lawsuit against Dana White and the UFC promotion.
Some of the guys from Bellator are also fighting too.
I mean, is there a chance that Ortiz goes back to his thing like Bellator or something like that? Or
he wants to fight Ryan Bader, but I don't see that happening. I mean, he's got a...
I mean, I'd be interested if they fought just because of the fact that Tito actually won that fight. That'd be insane. But Ryan Bader's a beast. I mean, Ryan Bader could be competing in the heavyweight division.
They fought before, and Ryan Bader lost, obviously.
So different time.
So Tito...
No.
Yeah, so Tito beat Alberto, and then he actually got the WWE Championship and gave it to his kids.
That made no sense. It wasn't even. It was
kind of weird.
The old school WWE Championship.
Another Trump supporter.
Yeah. That's another Trump supporter.
He was wearing
the Trump shorts
with the Mexican flag too. Which a lot of people on Twitter were like, "This is insane. This makes no sense."
I know.
It makes sense because his last name's obviously Ortiz.
Well, just the whole Trump 2020 Mexico flag thing.
I mean,
I'm not going to get into it, but it's just exactly.
We leave that crap outside of
only Ryan brings that up on these podcasts, and we somehow brought it up twice. It's our fault. These guys
headlined pay-per-views like Covington. He's headlining 245. Ortiz headlined Combate Americas. So
Trump tweeted out Tito's win.
There you go. There you go. You're going to see two titles at the White House this month: the fake WWE Championship and then the real UFC. Let's say I'm rooting for Ortiz Liddell 4. That's
No, dude, leave that out.
battle to the death. Only for Chuck.
Saudi Arabia.
Crown
Saudi
Arabia will take it.
Crown Jewel.
Crown Jewel. Jesus. Crown Jewel 30. No, that's it. That's it for the show today. Great job. I mean, we had so much to talk about, and I think we did a good job. I think we did a good job of covering everything in it. We're excited about UFC 245.
Yeah, and I'll be doing another simulation.
Yes, that's going to be coming out. This I
week.
don't know when I'm going to release this.
Yeah.
It will either be, you're either going to be watching this the day that we did actually do this. I might do a little extra editing just to make sure this is like extra good. But nonetheless, this has been a UFC/boxing show. We're excited about everything, and please do not bring up Ferguson Khabib too much because do not jinx that fight. Do not jinx Wilder and Fury and all these other great fights. But we are excited. For Nick Nenad,
I'm Eric Santos.
I'm Jesse.
and this has been another production of the Ring General.